Good morning. Welcome to your Tuesday morning, early morning intuitive guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, America's kick-ass coach and psychologist, here with some wisdom for your day. And today we have a card from The Power of Surrender deck by Judith Orloff, MD. And I'm grooving on this card because it's repeating something we've heard recently, not from this deck, but a different deck. And again, when we hear something once, that's lovely. We can take it in. When we hear something twice, we want to perk up our ears a little bit because we're getting a message there. If we hear something 3 times, pay attention. So this is at least the second time we're hearing this guidance. So let's see how it serves you today. Surrender to setting limits. Surrender to setting limits. So I'd like you to take a nice deep breath and let it go. Welcome. I'm glad you're here for a brief little interlude where we can put ourselves in a much better spot. Welcome to Cindy and Linda, and I see we have someone else here, but I can't tell who. I want you to show you my new shirt today. Every little thing is going to be all right from Life is Good. So that's kind of the overriding theme I'm going to hold on to as we work our way through this pandemic. I read somewhere that our only job during a pandemic is to survive it. But I like to think that we can also clear away what no longer serves us and thrive instead. Thrive instead. So our card for today is going to help us with that goal, because surrendering to setting limits, when you think about setting limits, what's the first thing you think of? Oftentimes, especially for women, it's, well, I don't want to hurt someone's feelings, or I don't want to make someone mad. Those are usually our primary reactions to setting a boundary with someone. And think about that. We're willing to sell ourselves out in order not to create that scenario that we fear, hurting someone else's feelings or making someone else mad. And notice, both of those are structured such that you're owning responsibility for someone else's reaction. So let me read the bottom here. It says, it is healthy to set boundaries in relationships. Practice expressing your needs, and remember that no is a complete sentence. Remember, we heard that a couple of days ago, that no is a complete sentence. So what does that even mean, no is a complete sentence? The first thing that pops into my mind is, what else do women tend to do when they've actually mustered the courage to set a boundary? They justify. They justify why they're putting that boundary into place. So, no, I can't go with you on Tuesday because I've got this and this and this and this to do. We justify. Good morning, Kathy. Or, no, I can't help you with that because, and then we give them the list. No, I can't help you with that is the complete sentence. That's it. Done. You don't have to offer any explanations or excuses. I didn't learn this until graduate school, when one of my fellow graduate students, Claudia, demonstrated this in spades. She was so good at saying, no, I don't want to. No, thanks, I'm not interested. She just said it. And it was like, wow, you can do that? Totally blew my mind. Totally blew my mind. But I could see it was very successful, and she didn't own responsibility for how anybody else reacted to that. Someone got their nose out of joint. Well, who does she think she is? She didn't worry about that. Was not her problem. Was not her problem. So, surrendering to setting limits. How well do you even know what limits you would like to set? After many, many years of not setting limits, some of us get so eroded, we don't even know what limits we'd like to be able to set. So what I suggest is practice. Just pick something. Even if down the road it's not a limit you choose to maintain, you will have practiced setting that boundary and learning how it feels, what buttons it pushes for you, what buttons it might push for other people. All of that is good grist for the mill. Good grist for the mill, okay? So what would be something you'd consider saying no to? That you don't really want to do, or you feel like you're doing it out of obligation, or whatever. That would be a great thing to start with, to practice setting a boundary. Do I really want to do this? Is this in my highest and best good? Then start looking at what are my fears about saying no? Because oftentimes if we articulate them or write them down, I can't tell you the number of times I had someone say to me, well, that sounds really stupid when I say it. When we don't put it out there, when it's not examined, it still maintains its power. When we examine it, when we say, well, I don't want to tell her no because she might get mad at me, sometimes saying it is sufficient to go, wait a minute, why am I owning responsibility for how she's going to react to something I haven't even said to her yet? Some people are concerned they're going to get an argument. So it takes two people to argue. It takes two people to argue. If you're not willing to argue, it's not going to go very far. There's a little trick that I teach people when they are setting a boundary or wanting to accomplish something, etc., which is being the broken record. So it's hearing what the other person has to say in response, but then acknowledging that and reiterating your. So if I take a shirt to return it at a store and I go, I'd like to return this shirt, but I don't have the receipt. And I get back, well, we can't take it back without the receipt. I respond, I understand that you have a policy for not taking it back without a receipt, but I'd like to return this shirt. They come back with, no can do, no receipt, no return. I come back with, I understand what you're saying, I'd like to return the shirt. And we go, I just stay calm, I stay with it. Oftentimes, I'd be successful returning that shirt. Because they get tired of the back and forth. And you're staying reasonable. It's not like you're getting ugly. It's not like you're just repeating what it is that you want. So a simple place to practice this also, and maybe less so right now because of COVID and fewer people are going out, but how many people do you know, particularly women, who when they're asked, where would you like to go to eat tonight? I don't know, wherever you'd like to. But really they do have something they're interested in, they're not willing to say it. They're not willing to put that out there. That's asking for your needs to be met, or your wants to be met. And wants are valid. Wants are valid. So a way to say that is, well, I was thinking such and such a place. What do you think of that? You're still in interaction, but you've staked a claim. You've said what it is that you want. So how do you feel about practicing this? The various parts of this. The asking for what you want, asking for what you need, setting a boundary, saying no. Of those, which one feels the squirreliest to you? Like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. Let's start small. Let's do some little steps to this. So I want you to think about where's a place, and again, with the boundary setting thing, the saying of no, a simple place to start is on the phone. When someone calls you up and asks for something, a simple place there is, let me think about it and I'll get back to you. Get off the phone, spend your time working your way through the yeah buts, the what ifs, all that stuff, then call back and say, I've decided I'd rather not, or no, or however you want to put it. When you stick to the same wording over and over and over, in a way it makes it easier to stand your ground. When you start changing up the wording, well, I don't think so, let me get back to you, yeah, I kind of don't know, you start to waffle, and it's easier to fall back into, oh, what the heck, fine, I'll do it. when you really don't want to do that. Another thing, another rule we tend to place on ourselves is once you've committed to something, you can't uncommit. I disagree. Yes, you don't want to go around saying yes to 8,000 things and then undoing them all, but to have remorse for something you've agreed to do, take a look at that. Again, examine it. Why am I having remorse about this? Well, I really didn't want to do it in the first place. I just caved in and said yes. Go back and do that. Okay, I've thought about having said yes, and I'd really like to change that to no. Leave the dead silence on the phone. Let them work their way through whatever they're feeling about it and move on. So my daughter just did that with having agreed to stand up in a wedding. She's like, I don't even really know anybody. It's not something I really want to do. Why did I say yes? And so she called back and said no. And the bride was okay with it. The bride was okay with it. So, and even if the bride hadn't been okay with it, it was still within my daughter's lexicon to say, no, I've changed my mind. We all have the right to change our minds. Again, you don't go around willy-nilly bailing out of everything that you've agreed to, but taking that good discerning look at, why am I doing this? What is my reason for having said yes to this thing that I really wished I had said no to? There are some times where if you've taken good care of yourself and you have extra bandwidth and this is a person you really appreciate and they've done amazing things for you, and so you, even though you aren't choked up about this thing, are willing to do that for them, that's a different ball of wax than hemorrhaging your energy into having said yes to all kinds of things you should have said no to. Okay? So setting limits. I personally am a fan of the buying myself time. Let me think about that and I'll get back to you. And I buy myself an hour, a day, a week, whatever. I'll get back to you within a couple days. Let me think about it. Buy yourself some time. Then you hang up the phone and you go, what am I thinking? I don't want to do that. That doesn't sound like fun. That doesn't sound like it's in my highest and best good. And work your way around to then saying no. There's also nothing wrong about writing out a little script for yourself. If you're concerned you're going to have a hard time saying no, write out your little script and check that little script. Hopefully it isn't full of justifications and rationalizations as to why you can't. Hopefully it's just various ways of saying I can't, or I'm choosing not to, or whatever. Not that justification and rationalization that we tend to get caught up in. So your mission for today is, I'd like you to think about somewhere that you need to set a limit, that it would be good for you to have a limit there. I'm willing to do this, I'm not willing to do that, whatever it is. And think your way through, feel your way through what that might look like, sound like, feel like to set that limit. Look at your yeah buts, look at your what ifs, write it all out, and then make a phone call. Or stop by and put that limit out there. Or the next opportunity that comes up where that kind of interchange happens, be prepared, have it memorized what you're going to say instead. You know, I've been thinking about this, and nope, I really don't want to do that. All right, that is your mission for today. Boundary setting at its best. Have a great day. We'll see you again tomorrow. Remember, you are capable of far more than you think you are, including setting boundaries and limits.